Hey yo, how's it going everyone? Entropy here today with another video. Today we're finally going to be doing a recap on my winter circuit experience, whether that's how to qualify or the actual finals and afterwards. So if you're interested in me talking about my deck choices, the meta game, my thoughts, and my pro plays and my displays, stick around and let's talk about it. So it has been quite a few weeks already. I think it's around 2 or 3 weeks already since the actual event. If you follow me, you will know that, of course, I didn't top, unfortunately, but we did go decently. It did go decently well. We did win some gems, so if you're interested in winning some rewards, go check out, keep an eye on next circuit, and it will definitely help, especially right now when resources are scarce. So, to begin, this is not the first circuit I've participated in. Overall, in Vanguard 0, there's been 3 for Global so far. There's much more for JB, but 3 for Global so far. The first one was a summer event. That one was around set 4. I wasn't as active back then. I didn't qualify. I only played in 1 qualifying tournament, and it was kind of pay gated. You had to pay to participate in like the some events, and those had much better odds rather than the open events. Like the open events had like 100-ish people. The paid ones were like 8 or 16 people-ish. So just by nature, your odds are much higher, right? But I just didn't really make the time for it. I didn't really want to spend money into the game. As you know, I'm free to play. So that's just what happened. For the second one, it was around the LB era. Around set 13, 14, 15-ish. Something like that. And we didn't really do well. It was like around 4-4 or something, 50%. But we qualified to that through ranked here. And for this time, we qualified through rank during the end of the Legion era, but also through the qualifying tournament. So if you don't know how it works, there's a bunch of ranked seasons, and then for the last month there's 2 open qualifiers, and you could always participate in those, and the top 20, 30-ish gets an invite to the finals. So I did qualify through ranked already, but I did qualify again through the open qualifiers. You only get one, so then my invite's passed down to the next person. If it's top 32, then it's the 33rd person gets my invite, something like that. But if you're interested in that process, you can check out my video recap on that qualifying tournament. But basically, that's how you get into it. So of course, each event could be different, so please stay tuned to their announcements. But basically, that's how it went. Of course, Legion era experience is not as transferable to the Stride era experience. The game is just very, very different. Whether that's the heal guards, whether that's the striding as a mechanic and whatnot. So being able to spend that time on that season, it definitely helps because, well, it helps and not helps. Helps in terms of it being a different experience, so it's refreshing. It doesn't help because it's not as transferable to the modern era. So that's that. In the open qualifiers, I think it's definitely helpful because you get the same kind of like feel, like you spend the same amount of hours-ish, like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours playing this game. You have the experience of queuing against people and people really, really trying to win. Right, ranked, you do have VP farmers from time to time, so the feeling's different. One's more of a grind, one's more of a sprint. Pick the one you want, pick the one you like. One's less luck reliant because the number of games is higher, there's less variance. And the open qualifiers, definitely variance is much higher, and so especially when it's best of 1 games. So again, up to you. One is less of a commitment but more risky. One's less of a higher of a commitment but less risky. Just depends on how much time and effort you can put into the game. Anyways, I did both, and honestly, I still do like the rank experience, simply because as long as you put in the time, you will be rewarded. As long as you're not a bad, like terrible player, right? Again, 50% win rate gets you to Legend 20, and honestly, like, it's just enough to get you to the next level. Like 50%, if you just win one, lose one, win one, lose one, eventually you'll get there. Especially when you're at Legend 0, if you lose, you don't lose any points. When you're at Legend 0, when you win points. So technically, you are like, just being a decent player should be good enough to get you through the ladder as long as you have the time. The better player you are, the less time you need, and so that's the difference. But if you're aiming not for like top 3, if you're aiming for top 10 or top 20 or top 30, something like that, honestly, you don't have to be that super good. You just need to be good enough. Okay, I hope I didn't offend anyone at this point. But let's just keep going. Let's talk about the finals actually. So you know what I brought for the open qualifiers, but let's talk about the finals. The finals is a 2-deck format, so you need to win 2 out of 3 games at most, and you need to win with 2 different decks, right? You bring 3 decks, your opponent bans one of them, you ban one of your opponents, and you play with the 2 decks each. If you win, you don't need to win with that anymore, you just need to win with the 2 decks you have. So the 3 decks I brought was Bermuda Triangle. Now I brought this deck because I did top with Bermuda. These are supposed to be draw triggers, by the way. I just pieced this back together because I deleted this, but it's supposed to be draw triggers. It's 9 draws. Don't play 9 crits, please. But basically, the list is pretty similar. You're playing your PGs, you're searching for stuff. You have a little combo game with chase with Himari. You have some combos with Spica. Olivia is a game changer. It's really amazing. I do have 4 right now, but I didn't have 4 at that point. Cards like Nectaria helps you clone stuff. Somni helps you multi-attack earlier on. Medu helps you fix your legions and all that. And Messiah because Link Joker is a decent matchup. So that's basically the list. And then we have Angel Feather. Again, 9 draws, please. 9 draws. There you go. We did one difference is we did play the Gavrael in my deck profile. I did play the stand trigger. The reason being is because I did expect the Aqua Force matchup, and Gavrael, if you know how to play it and pivot into it, is a game changer. You basically win 2 Aqua Force games, especially if you're only second. So you will see gameplay of this and how it just utterly dominates. We did play one of the Raziel. Honestly, I don't like the Raziel at all. So after this experience, I just removed it entirely. It's just not a great card. But definitely the Blizza is a mainstay. And right now I do have 4 Raphaels, so I do play 4 Raphaels instead. So basically the same thing right at this point. And then for the third deck, I did play the Link Joker, the Messiah. So this list is really similar to the one from my deck profile as well, from JP. Basically, you're playing a combo Messiah. There's no variant of Messiah that is competitive, that isn't the combo variant. So I don't really know why we specifically say that. But that's basically it. You just lock stuff, you Messiah stuff. There's a glitch that gives you 4 copies of the SPs, so that's amazing. Thank you so much for your generosity. And you go into Exelix, you do stuff. You go into Amnesty first stride, and then Exelix or Big Crunch. And then if you do want a combo, you can go into Maximum Seal as well. So that's basically it. I think that's basically it. I think I played something. Hopefully this is the exact list, but you will be able to see as well. So basically, the idea behind this is the decks I'm expecting is Bermuda, Angel Feathers. I'm expecting Aqua Force. These were the top 3 on my hit list. Some other rogue decks are like Pale Moon, which I considered, and then what else do we have? We have some. Yeah, Pale Moon, Kagero maybe, Narukami maybe, but honestly, these are the list, like the decks on top of my personal opinion. What is going to be good and what is going to be popular, right? So then that's why we did tech some stuff like Gabrielle. That's why I did choose to play more like draws instead, just in case. Counter charge instead, so we could play the grindier game in case it's Bermuda versus Bermuda. And that's kind of the overall idea of my deck choices. Let me see what we can do. So, with that said, let's go into the first game, see how it goes. I'll speed through it, and we can talk about it. And yeah, so for our first match, we got match against SHOYOashyyy from MY. And they brought Shadow Paladin, Bermuda Triangle, and Aqua Force. So you can see on the screen to the left, that is their Aqua Force list. Nothing too spectacular to mention. You know, they're playing the Eric, much more consistency focused. I value that. Grade 1's playing 1 of the resist, but 4 of the 4th attack, draw 1. So that's nice. And some scalers in the grade 2 slot. And the grade 3, you're kind of playing more Diamantes than the other 11k, which is fine as well. So for the first game, they banned my Bermuda. I banned their Bermuda as well, and I went into the Angel Feathers, which I thought would be a great matchup against Aqua. Like as I mentioned in the deck analysis, I guess I think that going into Gavrael is amazing. Now the difference here, I think, is that we went first, which is less amazing because by the time we get to GB2, it's already where our opponents are already onto their Lambros turn, which could be a bit slow. But let's see what happens. Just gonna take some damage. We're going to draw into some grade 3s, which is fine because we could always pivot and swap them into the damage, get us an extra crit, and try to push, right? So here, what should we ride? I think I went into the Celestial? Yeah, because if we do choose to go into the Gabrielle route, then we can always still use the Haru, but the Celestial is more awkward to play off because it doesn't get the extra 5k or whatever. Harder to hit by itself, and then pocket skill and still have a booster to do stuff with. So, just gonna swing 7, and our opponent's not gonna stay defensive, swing 12, and PG there. And yeah, so push for 2 damage, we're gonna draw 1, and that's fine. Our opponent's gonna do some stuff. We're gonna waste a heal, they saw a draw, and we're gonna go into the Gabrielle because that's what the plan is, right? So I'm still like hesitating because again, the difference is we're going first, not second, so we can't stride first, we can't set up GB2 as soon as possible. But I still do think going into the Gabrielle is the right play, and I just gotta stick to the plan, right? That's like what the practice is for, and we just gotta stick to it. So I'm gonna call the Celestial. What I can do with this is that I can hit, call out a booster just in case they stay defensive, and they did. So we can pull the Asmodel in to the damage, call it the 7k, do a little swap shenanigans if I do want to, and still have the numbers to hit and push to 4. Then we're gonna use the Norel, we'll put the grade 3 in, and we're gonna take. Should we take the heal or the grade 2? Well, we're gonna be playing a bit defensively, so we're gonna take the heal, and then we're gonna swing for 21, and we're gonna waste another heal. So this is the second heal that we wasted, but it's okay. We're gonna push to 4, so things are looking fine, right? We're at 2 damage. If we don't have the intercepts, you know, your opponent's multi-attack is a bit awkward. They need to commit more onto the board to hit those numbers. But unfortunately, what we see is that they're gonna go into Tidal Bore, and they can hit those numbers exactly that they need. So they're gonna see double trigger. And what that means is they're going to push us to 5. At this point, they're removing our pieces, and they're still drawing cards, and you can see they have a really healthy hand. They have 8 cards after the 2 draw skills proc. And that is really scary, because at 5 damage, unless we hit a miracle heal, our GB2 is not going to be active. Right? There's no point. But unfortunately, if you can see from my G-Zone, we don't have anything that's good on first try for Gabrielle other than the Blizza. And so I do need to commit to it. I just need to hope for a heal. We're going to draw into another grade 3. We're going to use the Gabrielle skill, hopefully see something good. And they're okay. They're okay. I think going into the Nausiel is good. Nausiel, search for PG from the damage. Or the grade 1 Narel. Darrell is better because we do have the grade 3s. Gonna use the Blizza, and then we're just gonna heal. So the heal is good. We're gonna hit. Do we want to use the skill? Darrell here helps us search for a PG instead. And then we're gonna hit. So we're back to 4-4. Our opponent did see a heal and whatnot. But Lambros wins games. And that's exactly what you're going to see here. They're just going to set up the board, get the multi-attacks in. Even though we did scale up, it's not enough to stop us, to protect ourselves from this incoming wave. So this was not the best demonstration of the combo. Our opponent's going to see another heal that's wasted, but hit those numbers. And we did survive, but we're already down to 5. And there's no way to recycle those heals. And the only thing we can do is go into Raphael. So we're going to go into Raphael, heal down, call some stuff out, and try to go for game here. Haru into Haru is nice. Thin out the deck, hopefully see some triggers. Draw trigger here is nice. And 16? No 16 though, because our Vanguard's not a Celestial. And that is how we lost game 1. We don't have any defensive left. Our opponent can still go to a Lambros. They didn't even go into Lambros. And the defensive isn't good enough to help us. The GB2 isn't good enough to help us. But we survived this turn. Maybe we could have made a comeback. But I think it's already too late. And that's game. That's game. Unfortunately, I do think that going first and also being able to be pushed down to 5 on before our first stride was really rough. I think the game of catch-up is really rough, especially since we did see 2 heals earlier on in the game. The chances of healing back down is really low. We're not on Legion. It was just a tough game. So our opponent still has a Shadow Paladin list left. And let's see how that goes. So do I decide to go into the Angels again, or go into the Link Joker? Well, I chose to go into Link Joker because even though they can retire their own pieces, that's generally on their Raging Abyss play, right? Sorry, Phantom Abyss, not Raging Form Dragon. That's like from the last meta game. And if we do lock some stuff before that, it really inhibits their ability to retire, whether that's locking down their Doreens, or to even scale up numbers in the first place, because they do play a lot of 8Ks and 5Ks in terms of the grade 2 slot. And so I went into the Messiah hoping things would go well. Hand looks not too shabby, right? We have grade 1s, we have a bunch of grade 2s. If we draw into any grade 1s, then we're good to go. We're going second as well. It feels good. Feels good. Even though the Judge Battle player, you know, maybe they would like going first because they can proc the Judge Battle. It means we have more lock targets and helps us do the combo. So we're not going to see any grade 1s. We did see a heal guard that's not that amazing, but it's still good to have on hand. And we're just going to swing. Right? Like, even if we do miss the grade 3 or what, like by turn 2, we can still use the grade 3 Searcher, right? And I feel comfortable about that. But what you will notice is that the game is decided the moment we miss the grade 3. And anyone who plays Messiah would know that this feeling is a terrible feeling. Our opponent's just doing their thing, and we don't have anything we want to ride. And so at this level of play, the moment you miss the Messiah, it's really hard to come back, and that's basically, like, you can still have the Messiah name with the Amnesty and the Exilics, but it's just different. Losing the stride skill, losing everything, it's just GG, and it's hard to come back. They're gonna break ride, and they're just gonna end the game. They're just gonna retire their pieces. There's nothing much we could do. We see a bunch of heals, but it's just not enough. It's just not enough, and that's game. That's basically game. Yeah, there's not much to say. It's just you whiff, and then you don't see. It's just GG. So we're gonna start off this with 0-2, which feels not so good. But you know what? Every win is 1,000 gems, and so we do want that. And we're just gonna keep going on and hope for the best. So, game 2. I'm gonna go into game 2, and of course, if you're interested in checking the full length of the matches, you can go check this out as well. In the link in the description down below. So game 2, we're going to be playing against FS Ducky, a random duckbill, and they brought Link Joker. They brought what did they bring? They brought Link Joker. They brought Kagero and Narukami, and so I banned. What did I ban? They banned Link Joker, and we banned Kagero. So that is the plan. And they brought Narukami. They let us use the Bermuda. And you know I'm disgusting with Bermuda. So that's the plan. So right now we are 0-1-0-1 for Messiahs, for Link Joker, and for Angels. So let's see how we will do with Bermuda here. Let me just adjust the deck list. Our opponent plays a very bind-heavy list, so I'm sure they're expecting the Legion decks being in play. Bermuda is a popular Legion deck. Angel Feather is a Legion deck. We have Narukami itself being a Legion deck as well. We have Shadow Paladin being a Legion deck. So there's a lot of Legion decks in this metagame, and so I do think that the binding is a valid option. I just don't think that it is good enough to beat out Bermuda. And you can see that consistently in my gameplay as well. Even if it's mirror, even if you're not focused on the Legioning, you still have a lot of other plays. And so we're just going to keep the counterchargers. Don't have any grade 3s left in our hand yet. So we're just going to ride the Rone. As usual, Rone is your main ride target if you don't see any grade 3s or whatever, because you still have a Vanguard that does something, and that is valuable. So we're just going to have a double resist in the front row. That way, even our opponent plays whatever retire options they have, they can't get rid of anything here. Going to the Vanquisher. Personally, I think going into the Vanquisher is still a good play, because your opponent's not going to always have resist, right? So being able to threaten your opponent, like force them to kind of choose to commit the resist earlier on in the game, and then bind them out of the game, I think it's definitely a great option. So here, we missed. Oh, did we see the grade 3? We're gonna top deck into grade 3. That feels really good. Victoria is nice, and we're gonna stride. Victoria. Good stuff. We have the grade 3 searcher, so that's really nice. I think I would be able to search for grade 3, use that to attack, and then and so there's less stuff that I need to be worried about. I can call down the PG, but we did miss the grade 3 though. That really sucks. So this way, I'm still keeping the resist for later turns, and there's nothing in the front row to retire anyway, so we can still do the 2 damage, push them to 5. Maybe Olivia next turn, and it feels pretty good. So we're gonna push. Our opponent's not seeing the defensives, which is great news to me. I'm gonna triple drive, and no triggers at all, so the only grade 3 we saw so far is the Victoria. But that's okay, we're gonna just keep filtering, just keep drawing, and hopefully we'll see some triggers as well. Our opponent's gonna stride into the Zoras, 50-50 chance of sniping the 7k or the pseudo resist grade 0. So good luck to them. Even if they don't retire, they can still bind, which puts me in a bind because our Vanguard's in Victoria, right? So opponent doesn't commit any grade 2s for some reason, so they're breaking as well, I guess. And they're just gonna swing. We did see a heal, even though it doesn't proc because we are at a lower damage count. And nothing much here. We're just gonna see the speaker go to damage, and we're gonna stand and draw. No grade 3 again, but I think that the Olivia play would be nice. Do we have the damage for the drop zone for for Legion? I don't know. I don't think so. So right now I'm just considering like, is the Olivia play the right play? But I guess not. I guess Entropy from back then said no. We're just gonna play this chill. We're gonna just use the skills, maintain our hand, and just ask for 3 defensives. So just call that out. Okay, we're gonna use the Vipar, bounce, copy the grade 2 Victoria. Oh, sorry, is it the Quincy? Victoria's the grade 3. We're gonna use some skills, fill in the drop zone, and see what our opponent's gonna do to that. And we're just gonna swing. Double resist feels good. We have 3 PGs. We're in a really good spot. I'm gonna draw, powers to the left side, hit 21, maybe 26, ask for a PG instead of a heal guard. And so they're still giving us heal guards, and with this swing, we're gonna ask for a PG. And they do have a PG. But at this point, I think, with 3 PGs and 2 resists, I think it's game. Like, there's nothing much they can do. The Zoras is their only option, like going into Conquest doesn't really do much for them. They can't retire, they can't get the extra 5k. And so I think at this point it's GG. Like, they can do their stuff, and we're just gonna go into Olivia at this point and win the game. Yeah, search for grade 3s, and we swing. So something to note here with Olivia is that when your hand size is high, small little trick here, I don't think I actually mentioned it. You know how you choose units? You choose 1, 2, 3. So when it goes back to the hand, it actually returns the third or the last option first. And then the first option returns to your hand last. So if your hand is more than 9 or 10 cards, I forget, the first card you pick will go to the drop zone first. So you need to kind of know this when your hand is really crowded, when you're playing a grindier game. Definitely valuable knowledge, and hope it helps, I guess. So we're going to use the grade 3 searcher, search out the draw trigger, and that way I guess we won't proc any draws and end up with overcrowding with our hand. See the heal, and that's basically game. So that's game 1. Bermuda 1-0, feels good. And also we finally procced our friend fight win quest. So that's nice. Helps us win some mission as well. And for game 2, they did ban Link Joker, right? So we're gonna go into the Angel Feathers. And opponent, well, if I was the opponent, I don't really remember at this point, but if I was an opponent and I knew it was Bermuda or Angel Feathers, both Legion based deck, I would stick to Narukami. That's what the plan is going into the event, and that's what the plan is going into the game, right? You shouldn't panic and change and abort the strategy. So that's basically the plan. Let's see how it turns out. They're gonna stick to Narukami. They're gonna go second, which is good for them. Angel Feathers doesn't have any resist grade 2s besides the Dreamlike Unicorn, which when it's removed from the field, you take a damage. That's not good. That's not good to have in the front row. So Most players don't play that. Maybe if you do, you put it in the back row, but I don't play that, and so it should feel good for our opponent because they can actually use their Vanquisher, use their Conquest, and do some stuff. So this game, I think, is a bit challenging. I think Narukami actually does have a good matchup because they shut down the Legion plays, but the good thing is that for our list, we do play 3 of the Celestial Stride, and we do play 2 of the Raphaels, right? So we do have quite a bit of options. We can make some plays, and let's see how it goes. We do have a bunch of grade 3s in our hand. Positive is that we can guarantee that if we do have a swapper, like a Nociel or a Narel, we can then swap the grade 3 we want into the damage and set up the extra crit from the Celestial Stride. The negative is that you're bricking, boy. You're bricking, boy. So that doesn't feel like amazing. Our opponent sees the defensive in the Vermilion. 12k doesn't hit, but we still want to just pack our bags and give us the draw and the heal in the deck. So that's nice. Just because we don't have a lot of grade 2 options in our hand anyways, doesn't feel good. Our opponent's going to commit 2 grade 1s in order to hit our numbers. So we kind of know that their opponent doesn't really have any grade 2 options as well, or they don't want to use it right now. And that's helpful. The mate goes to the damage again. We're going to call the grade 3. And I think that's just it. We're just going to leave it like that. I don't think committing anything else is helpful. If we see a trigger, we get to hit the Vanguard. If we don't, we hit the rear. It's fine. So we're going to see a draw trigger. That's helpful. Our opponent sees a draw trigger. That's helpful. And we're just going to swing rear guard, and that's fine. At this point, we have 2 heal guards in hand, 1 PG, 2 stride options. We can stride with 2 different cards, and a grade 2 that hits 11k as well. So I think we're at a decent position. Of course, our opponent Zoras here is scary. I don't know why they use Vanquisher here, honestly. Because their Zoras on hit is actually going to retire the grade 3 anyway. So I do think that this is a little misplay here. Like maybe they want the extra 2k from Chain Bolt earlier. Chain Bolt can't give its power to itself. It can only give it to anything else on the board right now. And the extra 2k hits 32, sure. But is it that big of a value? Like, do you need it right now? I don't think so. So do you think wasting that Counterblast here is a little misplay? Because even if you hit with the Zoras, right? If you hit with the Zoras, then you're still binding 2. That's the grade 3 and the mate. So you're still binding everything in the drop zone, assuming that we don't see a trigger. I mean, even if we do see a trigger, it's going to the damage, not the drop zone. So you're not binding anything additional. You're not retiring anything additional. The Counterblast was wasted. And whether or not it makes a difference here at this point, doesn't matter. But down the line, because Narukami doesn't really have a lot of good counterchargers, I mean, they don't play any countercharges here, it could be rough. It could be rough. Like, every single counterblast matters. You can only counterblast up to 5 times unless you heal, and that could be the difference between winning or losing. So I think that's a small misplay here that could be caught. And yeah, so we're just going to stride with the grade 1. We're going to go into the Celestial Stride. Hopefully, well, we do have an Nociel, so we can fix the grade 3, and we did draw into another copy of it, so that works out. We're going to add the grade 1. Okay, sure. Use the Celestial. And what that means is we can then set up whatever into our damage. Probably the Narel, since we don't have any swappers. Yeah, we can still draw trigger into the PG, right? So we're just going to set up a board. We have an extra crit on the Vanguard. And call down the 7k. On the left side, please, to hit 15. Please. Okay, no, okay, sure. Alright, calls down the grade 2. I don't think this is a great play as well. Reason being is because it's not like our Asmodel has a lot of options to search into, right? Like on the damage zone, you don't have a lot of great options. You cannot Superior Call itself. So like, what are you gonna call out? I guess call out Narel. That's fine, I guess, but it's not that good of a play. And also, our opponent Zoras can snipe back row. So you're just giving them one more thing to eliminate, and we're already low on grade 2, so I don't think this is a great play. But yeah, I don't know, we're going to push to 5 here, I guess. Opponent's not going to see in the defenses, which is, I guess, the name of this whole match. They're going to stride into Conquest. Now, the difference between Conquest and Zoras is Conquest, you're retiring it, but you're not binding it. So I think that's a small difference. Phoenix here at 1. It's fine, you're going to retire it. Get the extra power. Chain Bolt's gonna give extra 2k and a bind. So get rid of the buddy, the mate. Sorry, buddy fight's dead. And then we're going to heal. And they're gonna keep binding our PGs and whatnot. So good on them, good on them. And so this feels like final turn. Is this final turn? What are we gonna go into? How many heals do we have left? Going to the Mikael. Just gonna have the extra 2 crit. Just keep pushing with this and see what happens. Let's use the skill. We have the Haru. Haru helps us multi-attack, helps us thin out the deck if we want. Save that for later, I guess. We can still call out the 9k and call it the 9k. And we're just gonna Rigard, and the Vanguard asking for a PG or 2 heal guards. We do have 3 heals in the deck of 16 cards, and so I do feel that the odds of heals aren't too bad. So we're just gonna swing Rigard to Rigard, and then hope we see a heal trigger. And we do see a heal trigger. And I think at this point it's feeling pretty good. Of course, we still have risk because our opponent can always try into Conquest. They have 4 copies of Conquest, so they can do this play twice. Vanquisher, 1 front row, Conquest the other front row, and 3 shots to the face. So it is still danger zone. Conquest gives 5k to the whole front row. And what that means is that they can still hit those numbers. So the only way we survive this is either probably a damage check and hoping that they don't see any defensives. But luckily, it seems that our opponent doesn't really have any grade 2s to commit onto the board as well. And then we see a heal. So I'll take that back from just now saying that 1 heal is good enough to win the game. This second heal is what wins the game. And so at this point, we're at 26, they're at 35. We have a 15k shield, so we're at 41. 41 versus 35. They need to see not 1 trigger, but they need to see 2 triggers, and they have 3 drop checks. See, they saw 1. Can they see 2? And they did not see 2. And so, with that little thin margin of stacking, little thin margin of luck, and huge stacking, we survived. Our opponent doesn't have any intercepts. We can successfully Haru play, and we're going to Legion to help us hit those numbers, make those Haru plays worth it. Asmodel hits, helps us to pure call something out. Haru into Haru wins games, and so that's basically the combo. You just keep doing the stuff. Your Vanguard helps your rearguard scale up numbers, and that is GG. No read. Oh wait, no, our opponent survived. Plot twist. I guess there's a reason why they kept that many units in their hand, right? Not committing them onto the board. But our opponent did run out of conquests. And they have Zoras, they have Medu, and they have Messiah left. So I guess Zoras is the play? No, they used the 2 Zorases already. So they're going to go into the Vanquisher, Vermilion, and try to go for that play. Because that way you can still wipe everything for the front row and go for 3 shots to the face, which is quite nice. The weakness is that the 12k column to the left, it doesn't really scale unless they see a trigger. And so the question is, if you do see a trigger, do you put it to the 12k column or put it to the 18k column? If you put it to the 12k column and your opponent sees a defensive, nothing passes anymore. So that is really harsh, and unfortunately they didn't even get to make that choice. Orange just said no, and we're not going to see a defensive, but if they did see a trigger, then the question would have been, do they put it to the 12k or do they put it to the 18k? They didn't get to make the choice. I think if they did see the trigger, they would definitely put it into 12k, because we only have 1 card left in hand, so the risk was worth it, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. This game, I don't think I played well. This game, I think I just got lucky, and unfortunately that is the game. That is the game. For example, match 1, we just missed Messiah and flopped, right? So that's Vanguard. There's huge luck involved, and there's nothing much more I could say. Our opponent still had heals in the deck. There's just so many chances our opponent could have flipped it around on us, but they just didn't get lucky. And it's unfortunate, but I don't care. I won the game, and I bagged those 1,000 gems. I put my worries aside, and that's just how it is after all. Alright, so we're going to go into Game 3. Game 2, Game 1 and Game 2 is unfortunate. Game 3, we're going to be playing against Edooo from Ogre-INF. And this player, let's see what they banned. They chose to ban Angel Feathers, and I banned Bermuda Triangle. So, what is Game 1? Let's see. They did bring Bermuda Triangle. They brought Narukami and Cairo themselves. And I guess you can see their Twitter there. So follow their Twitter if you're interested. But let us check out their Cairo list right now, really quick. Let's see. So their Cairo list, it's a Blade Master build with 3 the Greats and 2 Dragonic Overlords. They're playing 12Ks. They're playing Striken. So playing Striken means they have a better position going first, right? Going second is just such a big swing in Vanguard right now. Going first, at least you get the 5K to crit. Helps you out a little bit. So, going into this game, what am I worried about? I'm worried about Root Flare and the Ace. Root Flare is scary because if you don't position your column properly, as long as you have one unit in the column that doesn't have resist, that whole column is in danger. Luckily, we still have PGs to fall back on. You don't have to rely on resist 100%. And we do have the PG top deck here. So we use the Rone, we clone the PG, and the rest is history. Like, that's basically the game here. Rone, PG, grade 3, win game. That's basically how it is. So, let's just clone PG. We're going to hit 14. And they're going to see a draw trigger. They're going to go into the Velocity, the counter charger. So they basically refund this counter blast, and they have a PG in hand. That's something to know. If you do play the Striken, as I mentioned in like other Kagero videos where I do play Striken, if you're going first, you ride the Striken. If you're going second, just call the Striken out. 10k intercepts are still useful, and it is helpful, especially when we're in a metagame with a lot of aggro decks like Grand Blue or Acroforce that might have a little trouble hitting those 10ks because they want to keep those boosters for later. So we're going to go into the Nemiel. I think this is a pretty standard play. Whether we clone the PG or the Quincy or the Vepar are all great plays, and for this moment, I did choose to call out the Quincy. Oh no, I chose to call out the Vepar. I changed my mind, I guess. And I guess the reason being is because we do have a PG in the damage zone. So that means that cloning PG might not be super optimal. Cloning resist feels pretty good. And I guess that's that. A little bit of revisionist history. I guess maybe me right now might not make the exact same plays as me back then. But the feeling is definitely different. And there's less pressure right now as I'm commentating afterwards, right? So going into Mustafa here is an interesting pick. Because, well, you're not retiring 2 things, right? You could still... They did ride into Blade Master, right? Yeah, Blade Master. So why go into Mustafa? Okay, so they want to get that 11k set up. The mate here doesn't really work, but that's okay. 11k, 6 plus 5, 16 and 26 hits for 3 damage. So I kind of see that, but personally, maybe I would have just went to another stride. Save the Mustafa for another turn. But I guess they do still have the double rare from Fighter's Collection. If they do want double front row, retire, and I guess that's fine. So we did see a heal here. Feels really, really good. 21k, shut down that 16k column. But our opponent does see a trigger. They need to see 2 triggers, and we need to see 0 in order for them to pass. And unfortunately, they didn't see 2. So we're going to see 1 more damage. Draw a trigger, very nice. Just checking what we have. And we have a par. That's cool. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to stride or are we going to legion? I think striding here is fine. Legioning is also fine. Legioning is fine because we can always clone the Quincy, double resist, and we have 2 PGs to fall back on. It feels pretty good. But going into the Nectaria, what that lets us do is we can actually clone the PG as well. So we have 3 PGs. Cloning PG with the Nemuel, isn't that feels good? Because we can only copy 1 from the deck. Cloning PG with Nectaria is pretty feels good because we do have only one copy of the PG in the deck anyway, so that's nice. That's nice. Calling out the grade 3 here. Melody triggers, so then you can actually multi-attack here. So you don't need to use Somni to multi-attack. The positive of playing this grade 3 is that it's easy to set up. You just multi-attack. There we go. 1 hit. You call down the Quincy again. And the good thing about using this is that you can actually proc the Quincy if you do want the draw. We don't need that right now. We hit 2, 20, and then we hit 3 with Nectaria. We bounce the PG, and it feels good. One of the weaknesses of this play is that the column with the grade 3 and the starter is not safe. The opponent can actually root flare this column because they can target the grade 3 and they'll still remove the grade 0. Right? I think so. Actually, I don't know. It has pseudo it has the cannot be retired, right? Rather than cannot be targeted. Huh. I'm second questioning myself right now. I think maybe it's still safe. I think it's still safe. Our opponent's gonna stride. That's the second overlord, so we're not scared of any overlords. Double like floating resist, double like that. Feels good. Do they use the root flare or the? Okay, so it's the root flare. The root flare doesn't remove this the resist. It doesn't remove the starter. So I guess I take that all back. I guess it worked out. I'm like reading it. I'm like, oh wait, what? I thought it's a misplay, but I guess it wasn't. So things worked out, I guess. Grom here. Opponent doesn't really have that many grade 2s to commit. You can see a lot of it in the damage zone already, which is feeling pretty terrible. And we're just going to be pushed to 5, but that's okay. Do we want to Legion or do we want to Stride? That's the question. Our opponent doesn't have any intercepts, so an Olivia play is really enticing. And I guess that's the play we went with. We can Olivia, we can Somni, there's a lot of stuff we can do. And let's see that Wombo combo. Hold on this. Do we want to use the Kura? Not really. We have the Spica. That's yes, that's a great card. Calling on the grade 3. Yeah, just call on whatever because we need to bounce 3 different names. Call the grade 3, call the grade 3 back, hit those numbers again. Asking for 1, 2, that's PG already. So 3, and then 4. Bouncing stuff. We can bounce the Spica, and then the Spica can still multi-attack, which feels good. So calling the grade 2 down there, because we can only call 1 in the front row and 1 in the back row. So checks. Heal trigger here, really, really good. Just power here, honestly doesn't matter at this point. That's another PG. And Spica, we're going to bounce the grade 2, call down to something else, and then it gives it 3k, so it actually hits numbers again. So keeping the Vepar is nice. You can always Namule it. Vepar here. But that's basically game. And GG. So, again, Bermuda can really multi-attack. You can still grind out the games. We're 2-0 with Bermuda, 1-1 with Angels, and 0-1 with Link Joker. And so let's go into game 2. Our opponent did ban the Angel Feathers, which I think is also really good deck. But frankly, in terms of comfort, Bermuda is my most comfortable deck. And then it's Angels, and then it's Link Joker. Angels is really just a really good deck. I don't think I'm particularly good at the deck. It's just the deck is really good. Bermuda, I spent a lot of time on it, so I'm confident with my skills. And Link Joker, I'm confident with my skills, but breaking is really, really bad. Like, it's hard to recover, and that's just how it feels. So what is our opponent going to stick to? They're going to go into Narukami, actually, which I think is an interesting choice. I think it's definitely an interesting choice. You have to end up winning with both decks anyways, and Narukami maybe would have been a better deck 1 choice if you think that you're going against Bermuda. I think Narukami still does have a better slot against Bermuda compared to Kagero. But to each their own, I guess Kagero at least has Draconic Overlord, has Root Flares to check those resists. But Narukami can bind and shut down those Legion plays, and especially when you see that it's a Legion list, you can focus on making those plays instead. But it's okay. I think this game, our opponent doesn't even have 4 Conquest. We don't play any resists. So not having 4 Conquest is pretty big. I think so, because if you have resist in your lineup, then maybe you can at least shut down, you know, double front row retire plays. But without resist, your opponent can actually go into double front row retire twice with Vanquisher plus Conquest, and that's quite big. That's quite big. So this game, pretty straightforward. We have Messiah, we're gonna Amnesty. Fortunately, we don't have 3 units to lock. I don't want to commit to the grade 2s yet. So we're just gonna swing vanilla with Amnesty, just to use it to set up Exalix and whatever. And I think that's fine as well. So the difference here, I think, is that in the list I showcased, actually, I didn't play 2 of the Maximum Seal. I actually did play 2 of the Maximum Seal, so I would like to correct that. But let's see if it actually shows up. So our opponent doesn't call grade 2s, just gonna commit grade 3s. Committing grade 3s against Link Joker is not that amazing, because even though Messiah's locks aren't like proper locks, they're soft locks, right? But what it means is that you can't really replace it with a grade 2, and if I choose to not soft lock it next turn, it still means I have 1 less intercept or 1 less defensive option I need to play around with. So I definitely think that coming in grade 3 here instead of grade 2 is a little bit of an awkward decision. At this point, I should be going into either Big Crunch, Exalix would be nice as well. Both are pretty solid. Exalix here, try to push for game. And Alter Ego here works fine. We swing here, that's 3 units, and we're pushing for 5, and we're also removing everything from their board, which feels good. So push to 5, opponent's not going to see a heal. They're going to go into the Zoras, try to bind their stuff, I guess, because the Conquest doesn't matter. And they're going to swing, and we're both going to be at 5, I guess, but we do have 2 PGs and 2 heal guards, which feels pretty good. So here we just go Stride, Big Crunch here, shut down the grade 2 column. Feels fine. Alter Ego shuts down the right side. Oh, actually no, don't even bother. That's fine. Alright, Destiny Dealer, we're just gonna swing 16, 11, 26. If we lock our own back row, even if their opponent survives, it unlocks during the beginning of our end phase, right? So we can then proc Alter Ego to the Messiah skill, so let's 1 draw 1, and hopefully we draw into more options. And that's nice. If our opponent goes into the Harmonics, there we go. They do need to discard cards to unlock whatever's in their right side. And let's see what else they have. But it's really hard to get past these defenses when you don't have 4 conquests. And you need to commit 1 stride into Harmonics instead of the Conquest. So I think at this point, we're low on cards. We kind of need to finish this fast. Exalix is the way to go. We have options to lock. Just hit 16. And we can unlock, so that's something to know. We can lock 6, 11, and then we can hit those numbers as well. So at this point, we can... It depends on if our opponent has more defensives or whatever. But we see a PG here. I'm just going to swing with 9, whatever. That's his 13. And then our Vanguard's going to swing and have extra crit. And hopefully that wins the game. No, unfortunately not. But let's keep going. They're going to go into the Vermilion. Legion those heals back. And then they're going to swing at everything. We do have 2 PGs and 1 heal guard. So that's enough. Our opponent doesn't have anything left in their hand. They're just going to stride. This stride doesn't even matter. But I guess it helps us hit those numbers. Whatever our opponent sees. Doesn't matter. We don't have the counter blast, but that's basically it. So we are 1-1, 1-1, 50% with Angel Feathers, Link Joker, and 2-0 with Bermuda. And that is our game 3. So we did make a comeback. Game 1, game 2, a bit more volatile in terms of RNG. But game 3, definitely more of a showing of skill than anything. Alright, so game 4, we're going to game 4. We're going to be playing against Razor. They brought Aquaforce, Bermuda Triangle, and Neonectar. And so I banned Bermuda and they banned Bermuda. So let's see what they have. They're going to go into the Neonectars, and I went into the Link Joker. I think Link Joker is good against both Angel Feathers, Aquaforce and Neonectars. Both decks are piece reliant. You want your stuff on the board. And if you don't have your pieces, it can feel bad, right? You have less stuff to clone with Neonectars, less skills to proc, and with Aqua Force, you can't really multi-attack like that. This starter got more popular with G-Stat 5 on JP. I don't think it's that amazing at this moment, but I think it's still a decent option. It helps you just call something out, so that's fine. But game looks fine. Game looks fine right now. And let's see how it goes. You know, Syphilis, Fissalis. Draw trigger, we see PG. That's really nice. And then nothing much here. I think it's basically the same plays. The main aim is just to try to lock them. We're going first, which does suck, but we can set up the grade 2. Neonectars don't really have retire, so it's safe to do that. So that feels good. Barbaria. Hit, multi-attack. We're going to be pushed to 5. Our opponent's still at 2. So we got to start locking and start doing something. And we're going to go into some plays. We do have 2 PGs and 2 heal guards. So that's nice. So we can lock, 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 unlock. And I was thinking about unlocking the grade 2 and just attacking into it. But the positive of this play is that they have one less open rearguard circle to actually make plays with Asha and whatnot. So keeping the soft lock, it does mean them keeping a unit. It's not like they can't recycle it with the grade 1, right? So I think that keeping the lock there is the right play and helps us mitigate whatever push they have on this turn. Unlock, their grade 3 can still attack from the back row. That's a PG, that's a heal guard, that's a PG. And we need to draw into something, and something fast. So our opponent has 4 cards left in their hand. I think that this turn, Exelix is a great card because we do have the grade 2. So please go into Exelix. Please, thank you. Yep, alright, perfect. We're going to go into the Exelix, we're going to lock the grade 2, we're going to lock the grade 2s. Hold on the grade 3s, and this is basically final turn. Oh, we're going to go into play this. Hopefully see another locker. Because I noticed that we couldn't, well, we don't have the 3 locks. But I think it's still fine. We can still attack. We can still attack. That's 2 out of 4. That's 3. And then I'm checking the skills. It's going to unlock. Still retires, it's just you don't get the crit. And we get the power. That's a heal, that's very nice. And unfortunately, they had all 4 defensive in hand. And luckily, we still have a heal and we still have a PG, but we don't have any intercepts, which is really, really dangerous. They do have big numbers, and I am really scared. They see the draw. And unfortunately, our 15k shield is going to block that. And our PG is going to block that. Right? Okay, so this is our final turn. This is our final turn. Our opponent has 2 cards left in their hand. We have 3 shots to the face. Can we make this work? Now, at this point, I should have went into the big crunch, honestly. I think that going to the Exelix, what that does give me, though, is multi-attack. Right? In case our opponent has 2 defensives, we can still lock the grade 2 and still do some shenanigans. Right? I can still unlock the grade 2 and whatnot. So that's nice. So calling out the grade 2. This one lets me unlock and then attack. So I didn't know I had the grade 2 anyways, but I guess just leaving it like this, and I have the extra crit. And that's game 1. So that is GG. We did win that game. So that's really, really nice. Things worked according to plan. So let's go into game 2. So we have the Angels left. And our opponent can choose Neonectar or Aqua Force. I think Neonectar is probably better. And they're just going to stick to the Neonectars. I think Angels, both are really like tacky decks. But their access to options, I think they have a little bit more options than we do. Our play is more linear. and they have more options in terms of when they multi-attack, when they set up their board and whatnot. We also don't have retire and removal, so they can just bloom and blossom however they wish. So that's really nice. And so we're just gonna swing, and they're gonna miss the Asha, which feels really good. They went into the resist grade 3 instead. They do play the ditch one draw one as a one-off, and we're gonna heal. So I think at this point we're like pretty comfy. The only negative is that we don't have a Strive Fodder, but we did draw into Strive Fodder, so we can even Strive, right? Mikhail, even though we don't have the crit, we can still Superior Call something. So what do we want? I guess the grade 0 heal just to put that back to the deck. I think that's fine, and we're just gonna hit 15, and then 26 is guaranteed to hit. Push them to 4. We're gonna heal again. And you see all that stacking, which is even more unfortunate when eventually our opponent does play the grade 2s. They're gonna draw a bunch, and we are going to unfortunately lose this match. I think a misplay here is not recognizing that we didn't get the crit. Superior Calling. Grade 2 is still fine. We still have 3 damage. Seems pretty good. But the Asha here, I'm just checking the decks, and it can still wipe us. They're gonna do some shenanigans. We're still have a lot of defensives, right? Like, it feels really hard to imagine we're gonna lose this game. We're gonna Legion, Haru plays, heals good. We have like a bunch of heals in our hand, a bunch of PGs. And then, unfortunately, our opponent's gonna defend that. 5 cards left, they're gonna Asha. And they do have their multi-attack plays. So with 3 defensive in their hand, fortunately, this is not good enough. And I guess I definitely underestimated Neo-Nectars. We have a lot of other players that brought Neo-Nectars with success, like Narissa, and that was GGWB. Just not enough, not enough. Yeah, there's just too much multi-attacking, too much healing, and that is game. And in game 3, it's going to be Angels versus Aquaforce. So let's set that up. Set up Aquaforce. So for this matchup, we're going second, which is exactly what we wanted. We have the Strive Fodder. We are good to go. And let me just skip to the part where we go into Gabrielle. We guarantee the Gabrielle. And we do have heals in our hand, but that's still fine. They know we have the Gabrielle. We're going to defensive draw here. Feels really good. Our opponent's numbers are not going to hit. Yeah, they whiff. And we're going to go into Gabrielle. We're going to stride into Blizza. We're going to use the Blizza GB2. And we're going to use the Blizza. So what that means is we are already at GB2. So starting from the next turn, whenever our Vanguard takes damage, all our front row gets 2k. What that means is Aquaforce, which really wants to attack unboosted and all that, is going to really suffer from this kind of situation. So they're already really uncomfortable with setting up those plays because they know that, well, we don't have rearguards that can hit 11 and whatever into the rearguards. So they're just going to attack like this, try to draw some cards, make some plays. Right, and that's fine. And we're going to stride into Raphael. It's going to let us heal. And then extend that lead with the GB2. Like, that's the main goal. Just stall, use GB2, stall, win game. Right, that's the play. We're just going to call on some stuff. Haru, make some plays. Swing here, Vanguard first, because we do have heals, and we did see a heal, which feels really good. We're back to 2, and we can still use the Haru to actually thin out the deck and search for some pieces for next turn. So I think at this point, we are pretty comfortable. Our opponent's at 5, and we're at 2. That's a huge difference. And we also have the GB2 to use. Why did I lose? So spoiler alert, I lost this game. Why did I lose? Clearly, Lambro stuff is not working because we're 18 on the Vanguard. The grade 2 is not going to swing rearguard. They can't proc Lambros. Lambros needs to hit Vanguard. Why did I lose? Well, I wasn't playing aggressively enough. I was playing too much on how to not lose and forgot I needed to win. Right? You're filtering, you're decking yourself out, and going through this game, wow, it's like I can't lose. I'm at 3 damage, I have 3 heals, I have 1 PG. How can I lose this game? I still have a Legion. What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like, our opponent can't get to me. They just can't hit the numbers. They just can't hit the numbers. The problem is, I played this game for too long. I just kept striding. I just kept thinning through the deck. And at a certain point, I needed to say, no, I need to win this game. Our opponent used up all their stride fighters already. Our opponent's low on decks already. We're just going to draw here. We're going to draw here. And yeah, we have 4 cards in damage. If our opponent deals 1 damage to us, we only have 1 card left in deck. We're going to draw that card. Oh, well, there's the heal. And it's GG. It's over. We overhealed. We overdid it. We overdid the Gabriella strat, and that is game. So, that's the unfortunate situation. The plan worked until it didn't. So, we're going to unfortunately take that damage. Opponent still can't hit the damage if we did have the cards in deck. But decking out is a way to lose, and I forgot about that. And just got cocky, got arrogant, and that's how you lose games. So that is basically the first 4 matches. But overall, what is the trend that we see from these games? Overall, we have a lot of really tight games. Games where I get to play Bermuda, I am much more comfortable with because I'm basically pocketing 1 free win. And games where I lose Bermuda, I feel much less comfortable with because, well, I need to play with something else. All the other games are really amazing and are really exciting. I just don't want to keep you out here. If you're interested in more commentary, let me know down below and we can do that as well. But this game, Game 5, I think is definitely worth watching. We both 6 damage healed. 6 damage healed here, which feels really good. And then for one of their games, they did 6 damage heal as well. Sorry. Right? They 6 damage shield? Yeah, they 6 damage shield as well. So there's a bit of back and forth with Game 5 here against Riv from SF6. They're a big team, so I'm sure you know them already. But yeah, I think Winter Circuit has been pretty good. If you're interested again in watching the videos, the whole matches, check the link in the description down below. I don't think I played particularly well on this day. I definitely made my good amount of misplays as well. But overall, I think what is important is that we take it as a learning lesson. We don't play like a scrub like myself, and we try to play better. So that is basically it for this video. Thank you so much to the members, Kamui, Tumelo, KCZBD for being members of this channel. Thank you so much to you for watching the video. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Want to see more. And thank you so much. I'm about to lose my voice. I hope you stay safe. And I will see you all in the next one. Alright. Go check out the videos. They're really amazing. 6 damage shield fiasco. And yeah. Bye.